Hey guys, happy Friday. I'm sorry there was no video on Thursday. I recorded one and thought it uploaded onto YouTube, and I apparently never pressed upload because when I woke up on Thursday and went to post it in Google Classroom, it was not there, and I couldn't find it on my computer for some reason. So I just decided to not make one, so you had kind of an easy day. You don't have to watch a video. So today we're going to read the rest of our chapter, and then I'll tell you what you guys are going to do in Google Classroom because it is a little bit longer of a day today. Okay. So outside they settled in to wait. Brody sighed. The last bus pulled away. Only a couple of kids were still fighting their way inside. Remember the bigger truth, he thought. He found his boy. He knew where he was. What would he even do if he found him in there, anyway, in all that noise and crowd? And another part of his brain was whispering something else. The danger is not at school. The danger, that shadowy monster, is at home. He was so close, and he wanted to see his boy more than any words he could have ever learned were possible to express. But he hadn't just come back to see his boy. He'd come back to help him if he could, to save him if he needed to. And if it came to that, he knew he'd need some soul left to do it. If he went there now, he'd be spending his soul for nothing. Waiting was the smart thing to do. Even though the smart thing to do, it's not always what the heart wants to do, especially a strong heart. But they waited. They crossed the street and waited under a tree that Brody remembered, the tree that he had waited for his boy under, back when he had a beating heart and blood and breathing lungs. Brody settled in, there in the snow, under the bare-branched winter tree. Patsy curled up on the hood of a car parked against the curb. Tut gave them both a look, almost started to sit down, and then jogged off to investigate a cluster of garbage cans down the street. Brody had only a few memories of his boy. Only a handful had come back to him. But sitting there waiting for Aiden to come walking out the doors, they were all that he had. So Brody closed his eyes and lived each memory one by one over and over while he waited. The park, the ball, the snow, the mud, the laughter, the hugs, the nights, the tears. Aiden standing atop the slide, Aiden's arms tightening around him. Aiden saying goodbye. Aiden hugging hello. Aiden's fingers scratching at his fur. Aiden's eyes looking into his own. Aiden's face, Aiden's smell. Aiden's voice, Aiden's smile. Aiden's words. You, me, together, always. Time works different for souls without bodies. Without heartbeats or breaths to measure it, time can move in unexpected ways. For Brody, waiting for the boy who meant everything to him, the hours of that school day could have, and yeah, maybe should have felt endless. But Brody, sitting there with his timeless memories, hardly noticed them pass at all. In his memories, he was with Aiden. And being with Aiden, well, Brody would never get tired of that. Tuck, though, was a different story. The waiting was way tougher on Tuck. Tuck circled. He barked at passing cars. He ran to the end of the road and back. He chased squirrels and hunted fruitlessly for french fries. That dead dog, Patsy growled after a few hours, is not resting in peace. Brody opened his eyes, shaking free of his memory to look at the cat. Yeah, I don't think he's the type, Brody said. He watched as Tuck ran in circles around an old man with a cane who was walking past. Hey, how come we can pass through people so easily without even trying? Our first night before we met you, Tuck passed through some people even before he knew he could. Shouldn't he have hit them like he had that van door? Nah, stuff, trucks, vans, french fries, is easy. Living things are different. You can't touch the living dog. We're separate from them now. Forever. And I say good riddance. Brody looked closer at Patsy. Why, what's your story? You got a boy or someone you're trying to find? I ain't got no story, dog. I ain't got no boy. Or no girl. Not really. Patsy paused for a second. I never had nobody. I just got me, and that's all I need. Got it? All right, I was just asking. Well, quit asking. You should shut your mouth and start paying attention anyway. Paying attention to what? The doors, genius. You want to miss him? Brody's head snapped back to the school. Kids were filing out of the doors, laughing and talking back and forth. A bell rang, and a trickle of kids became a flood. A bus rumbled up the street. Brody jumped to his feet. Tuck came running back to them from where he'd been trying desperately to chew on a cat who was dozing at the front porch. This is it, Brody said, shaking with excitement. He's going to come right by here, huh? Patsy said, rising and stretching. You sure? Tuck asked, sniffing at some bushes nearby. Mrs. Smith wants to come listen. Yep, he'll be here. Brody was sure of it. He'd watched his boy up on the street countless times, and then walked back home the same way. He'd walk with him on the weekends to play in the school's fields or shoot some baskets on the basketball hoops in the playground. This was the sidewalk he walked home on. Well, I hope he hurries, Patsy said. And this kid better be something special. He is, Brody said. You'll see. He fixed his eyes on the stampede of kids pouring out the bright red front doors of the school. They were bundled up in coats and hats and gloves, and their breath puffed in the clouds in front of their faces. They shouted at one another and sang and laughed and chased. They paraded out, crazy and chaotic, stomping noiselessly into buses or into waiting cars or onto sidewalks heading home. Tuck's tail was already wagging. Tuck was the kind of dog who couldn't help but wag when he saw kids, even if they weren't his. Where is he? Tuck asked. I don't know. Is that him? No. How about him? Nope. Oh, there, running with the one glove. Is that him? No, Tuck. Look, I'll tell you when I see him, okay? All right, all right. Tuck trotted onto the sidewalk, wagging and sniffing at the kids as they passed by. Brody scanned each face as they came out of the doors, looking eagerly from one to the next, waiting for the moment where he'd get to see his boy. He saw big kids, smaller kids. He saw kids with freckles on their cheeks and kids with metal shining in their mouths and kids with snot running down from their noses. Ew. He saw all kinds of kids running happy out of the school into the cold air. But moments passed, long waiting moments, and he didn't see the one kid he was looking for. His stomach clenched and twisted. His tail felt still. The crowd of kids thinned out into scattered handfuls. Only a few kids were coming out now, in lonely ones and twos, running to catch up with the rest. Tuck slowed his cavorting and playing. He snuck little glances at Brody, and then after hours of constant motion, he stood still, his tail as limp as his friend's. Two last kids went past them, both girls, heads held close together, as they whispered excitedly in each other's ears. The last bus roared to life and rumbled out of the parking lot. Tuck walked quietly over. He stood beside Brody. He's not here, Brody said. He should be here. I know he should be here. Tuck didn't answer. Brody stood lost and shaking. That memory echoed, the dark one, the bad one, the last one. Brody had left, but Aiden had stayed. He'd stayed there with his monster lumbering toward him, with clenched fists, with deadly boots, with murderous eyes. All of Brody's soul was lost and scattered except for two questions. Where was Aiden? And what happened to his boy? That's the end of the chapter. All right, so today is the last chance to finish your challenge on ExactPath, so make sure you're doing that. Make sure you do the check-in question for today. We are Zooming tomorrow at 10 in the morning, so maybe before some of you guys even watch this video, so maybe I will see you at the Zoom, or maybe you've already been at the Zoom, okay? And then in Google Classroom, you're going to do 4 more of the inference task cards, and then you're going to read an article and answer like 8 questions on that article, okay? Kind of like Monday, the first 2 questions, so you're going to want to open the exit ticket at the same time you do as the article. You're going to want to do the first 2 questions before you read the whole article, and then you can read the article and then do the rest of the questions, okay? And they're all questions that you've talked about this week, so it should be kind of a repeat, but it just looks, they're all just all together, so we as teachers can see how you're doing on all those different types of questions, okay? So please email me or let me know in the Zoom later if you have any questions. And I hope you, I hope I see you all at the Zoom. And if not, I hope you guys all have a great day. Bye, guys.